Aloha, welcome. This is Tracy from Retired Not Expired, and thanks for joining our video channel here and taking a look at it. We have a Facebook group in correlation with this. If you're not familiar with that, called Retired Not Expired, you can find that in Facebook groups. Check us out and request to join. We'd like to have you. Our goal as a group is to, number one, help people that are new to the van life and nomadic lifestyle. At a very, very basic level. There's a lot of groups out there that are there to help and advise people, but number one is I've seen that they're really, really big groups. You don't really have a interaction with those because there's too many members, number one. And number two, they tend to be very technical and they start explaining things way too quickly, and they're using all these terminologies that people just don't understand. So our goal, number one, is to help folks with that by keeping the video presentations down to a very simple, short, and basic level. That's the goal for our intended audience. If you're somebody who's familiar with solar, if you're familiar with the nomadic lifestyle, some of the things that we talk about are going to be way below you. You're going to be like, oh wow, this is pretty basic. But that's the goal, is we're keeping it down to people who know basically nothing about the lifestyle. And the other thing, the other goal of our group is that we are here to make friends. We want to enjoy life out here, enjoy the lifestyle, and share it, and meet with others and share their experiences with us. So that's our mission and our goal here. So our first series of videos here, there's going to be probably 3 or 4 of them, are going to be based on solar, on electrical, starting with estimating how much battery power you're going to need, and then going into, okay, so now that I know how much battery I need, how do I charge those batteries? How do I maintain them? What options do I have? Things like that. And so again, we're going to take them in a very, very simplistic, very easy to understand, short 10 to 12 minute video per topic, designed for folks that, again, know absolutely nothing about it. So again, we appreciate you stopping by. We're not here to make money. If you want to go ahead and subscribe and get notifications of new videos, you can do that right down below here and click the little bell where it says subscribe, and you'll get notifications. But again, we're not doing it for any kind of YouTube money or anything like that. We don't want to get real big. When you get really big, you lose a lot of the personal interaction on it, and that's what we kind of want to avoid. But anyway, let's go ahead and we're going to head into the laboratory of the Retired Not Expired Intercontinental headquarters here. Right now we're in Quartzsite, Arizona, and let's talk about some batteries. Thanks for coming by. Okay, hey, we are here in the depths of the laboratory. Retired Not Expired, our Intercontinental headquarters, based right now in Quartzsite, Arizona. And so let's go over some things here on our first video, which is going to be deciding how much battery you're going to need. How much power do you use? Because this is going to be really one of the first things you want to look at when getting your setup is, how much do I need? What am I using? What do I need to buy? How do I maximize the effectiveness of what I've got? So let's go over this real quickly. It's not a real difficult thing to do, but it is something you have to kind of sit down and take an inventory of what it is that you've got in your arsenal, what it is you're going to be using that'll be taking energy from your main house or coach battery. Now, this does not include items that run off their own battery or would be running off of the vehicle battery, unless the vehicle battery is what you're using for your main power. So this is just stuff that would be coming off of a sealed lead acid or a lithium battery that you're using as your house battery. So one of the things you're going to do here is we have to take stock of the fact that one day equals 24 hours or 1,440 minutes. The reason this comes into play is because for a lot of the items that we use, we don't necessarily use them for a lot of time during the day. Some items are on all the time. Those are fairly simple to figure out energy-wise. However, items that you're only using 3 or 4 minutes a day, those we want to kind of calculate out so we can get a good estimation of your total energy usage and what you're going to want to be purchasing. So keep that in mind. One day, 24 hours or 1,440 minutes. Now, the formula for finding out what energy use each item in your inventory has is rated watts, and that's just the amount of watts off of the, you've got the UL sticker, or your item will have maybe it's embedded in plastic, something like that, but it will give you the number of watts that item uses, and that is the number of watts per hour that item is used. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take those rated watts times 24. So if that item was on 24 hours a day, that right there would tell us how many watts it's using. But what we're also going to do is we're going to divide into 1440 the number of estimated minutes that you use that item per day. So what that means is, for example, if you have a toaster that you're using for 5 minutes a day, you're going to take your rated watts, and toasters are anywhere from 750 to 1200 watts. I'm going to use mine as 750. So we're going to pull on here 750 times 24. And that is equal to, and I am not a math scholar by any means, equals 750 times 24, 18,000. So we're going to have that as 18,000. That's the total amount of watts that it would use if you use that toaster 24 hours a day. So we're going to take that 18,000 and we're going to take it times the number of minutes a day that you use it on. So let's say that you're using a toaster for 5 minutes a day. Let's just use it as a rough average. So 5 minutes a day, which is M. That's the estimated number of minutes used per day. We're going to divide that whole number by 1440 because that's the number of minutes in a 24-hour period. Okay, so if we take that formula right there, and on my next page here, I just happen to have it saved up in a formula right here in a spreadsheet. So I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but it makes it quicker. So we're going to go toaster. Okay, and I know for my toaster, for example, is 750 watts. Yours could be less, could be more. That's what it is. I use my toaster. I don't use a lot of toast, but let's say I'm going to average 3 minutes a day. It's about that. That means that we're going to have a total of 37.5 watts that toaster uses for 3 minutes a day. This 37.5 is going to be coming off of the total amount of power stored in your battery in watts. And as far as what kind of battery you have and what capacity those have, we're going to discuss that later on, probably in the next video. But let's continue on with this. Let's say that you also have a fridge, which most of us do have. Not everybody. Some people have start using coolers with ice and stuff, which is fine. Doesn't matter. My fridge, I know mine uses 45 watts. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky because you have to kind of estimate how often your fridge is running. And you don't have to be perfect on this. We're just kind of getting a ballpark number here, something fairly close. So I'm going to say that mine runs about a third of the time. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1,440 minutes, a third of the time, all the way through, equals about 480 minutes. So we're going to punch 480 in here. And that gives us a total wattage of 360 that it uses during the day. And again, this is going to be taken out of the amount of energy that's stored in your battery. Let's go for something else. Let's go for a Cpap machine. Those are kind of popular. Oops, helps if I don't do that. Why? Okay, so let's go down one more. Cpap. And Cpap machines typically are kind of like the fridge. They're about 45, 50 watts. We're going to say 50. Okay. Minutes used. Now, this is kind of like the fridge, but not quite as tricky. So a Cpap machine, you figure you're going to be using it, let's say 8 hours a night. Okay. 8 times 60 is, again, going to be 480. So that Cpap machine uses about 400 watts of power. thereabout. I said they're anywhere from probably 45 watts up to 100. Really depends on the machine. Again, look at the UL sticker on your machine. That will tell you exactly the wattage that you're using out of that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to use this as a total. We're going to do sum of D2 through D10. Okay, and this is going to tell us right there what our total usage is here. Let's make that a little bit bigger. So right now we're at about 798 watts. Okay, let's keep going on here. Let's take something that runs all the time. For example, the thermostat on my heater. They are typically very, very low wattage. I'm going to say about 5 watts. But it is running all day long. So we're going to go 1440. That gives us a total wattage here of 120. Okay, so with those items right there, we're up to 917 watts per day that we've used. This does not include, any solar or generators or anything that you've helped charge your battery up. This is just a pure wattage that you've used so far during the day, not at any one time, just a daily figure. Okay, let's go with, well, for example, I've got a WeBoost. It's a cellular booster, and that one's about 10 watts. And again, it's used 24/7. So 1440 watts there. Let's go, or 240 watts there. So let's go to lights. And this is a big variable on lights because everybody is different. Everybody has a different setup, and they have different, different times that they use lights. Some people use them more often than others. Some people have lots of lights. Some people don't have many. I'm a pretty light user on lights. But I'm going to say the lights for me average about 20 watts. And minutes used, again, I'm a light user. Everybody's going to be different on this, but I use mine, let's say about 2 hours a day. Okay, so that is going to be 120 minutes a day. And that gives us our total wattage used lights, 40 watts. Again, we're up to almost 1200 here. Okay, let me spread this out a little bit. No, stop it. Come on, spread out. Spread out. Okay, then don't spread out. All right, then we're going to do, most of us have an exhaust fan. And again, they vary widely in how much they're using. I use mine about, let's say about 30 watts. It really depends on your vehicle. It depends on the brand of fan. But I'm going to say about 30 watts. Mine's got 3 different speeds. And I use it quite a bit. I don't use it at night necessarily so much, but I use it quite a bit during the day because it can get pretty warm back here, even in the wintertime. So I'm going to say I'm going to use it 5 hours a day. So that'd be 300 minutes a day that I'm using it at 30 watts. So that's 150 watts right there. Okay, giving us a total so far, and that really drives me crazy having that thing there. Hold on a second. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so we're going to stop right there. And that's for a lot of people, that's going to be a pretty typical kind of a setup here. And you may have other things that you use. And I guess another couple things I should probably put on here is a lot of us have an inverter. Come on. Not my hair looks lovely, but I'm having a bad typing day today. So an inverter, we're talking about a 110 to 12 volt inverter, 12 volt to 110 inverter. It really depends on the size of your inverter as far as how much power it uses, and some are more efficient than others. I've tested my inverter. I've got a way of measuring electrical usage on my system, and I know that my inverter uses about 15 watts. This is 15 watts an hour. Usually I've got it on all the time, not always. And if you've got a larger inverter, say a 3,000, 4,000 watt inverter, that may be something you don't necessarily want to have on all the time. You may want to shut it off at night or when you're not using stuff. Kind of depends on your situation, okay? So we've got these things here going on. And you see over here that we've come up with a total of 1,707 watts, okay? This is the amount of power, the amount of energy that you use during a typical day. Okay, and again, it's just a rough guess. There could be other things on here. You could have other things going on, but that's just kind of a rough guess, 1,707 watts. Now, what that is going to mean is that without any generation of power, without any solar, without any generators, without any chargers, without DC or anything like that, you're going to have at least that much power storage in a battery for you to make it during the day and all night. Now, and then we're going to go a little more into this, a little more detail in the next video, but batteries typically come in amp hours. They come in usually 100 amp hour sections. You got 100s, 200s, 300s, 400s. And because we know the age-old equation of amps times volts equals watts, these are all 12-volt batteries, so 100 amp hours equals 1,200 watts. So that means right there that if you were to have 1,700 and you had only a 1,200 watt battery, then you're not going to have enough during the day. At some point, you're going to run out of energy unless you are able to recharge the battery. And again, we're going to go into a lot more detail on that on the next video. But this video here, and again, we were just coming up with a way to inventory what you've got, what you use, using a pretty simple method. If you use watts, the good thing about watts is it doesn't matter what the voltage is, it doesn't matter what the amperage is, because watts are watts. Okay, it doesn't matter. So it makes it pretty simple to convert that over. So what you want to do, and even if you want to have me do it for you, hey, send me a note. Say, hey, here's my email address. Here's a list of what I got. Can you estimate for me? I'd be glad to do that for you. So, but take an inventory of what you got. You got to do this, and this will give you an idea of what you need. Some people, this number may only be 500-600. Others, this could be 6,000. It really just depends. So, step one, take an inventory of what you've got and get an idea of how much power you are really going to need during the day. All right. Well, hey, thanks for watching this video. And our next one will be coming out here in just a couple of days. And we're going to go over different types of batteries and battery sizing. Once we've got this number here figured out, we're going to kind of go over, okay, so what's my next step? What do I need to be looking for? Thanks a lot, and everybody take care. Aloha.